Here we are on Stream Junction. This is game 4 between PranksterGangster and Rynus. PranksterGangster has actually had a phenomenal set of series up to this point. He beat Glava 2-1, and then he also beat a couple of other people that I had rated above him. But he showed that actually the power of non-stop practice and improving yourself and making your style more resilient is something that can even overcome at least one game against the mighty mech monster that is Rynus. And now, up in the top right-hand side, he's won the last game, but it was a very drawn-out affair, particularly when his opponent played a style that made it so that he was on the defense for the majority of the game. It's PranksterGangster. And in the bottom left-hand side, who knows how he'll adapt mech into the peculiarities of Stream Junction. It's the person who is one game away from winning the winner's semifinals. It's Rynus. Let's see who messaged me. What do I think of the map Stream Junction? So the interesting thing about Stream Junction is that I have to agree that I have to say that I find it very beast favored. The reason is that if you try to make just a giant ball of catapults, it's going to be very difficult for you to secure all of the locations that you want. There's not really an easy third base to get beyond this third. Arguments for getting this as a third base, for instance, kind of fall flat because of the number of attack avenues that are available into it. And then when we talk about getting fourth bases, you almost certainly have to get the middle. If we get to a split map scenario, however, I think this map becomes a lot better for the mech player because now you have this double high ground. Like you have the high ground into low ground into high ground again of the middle. And if you can gain control of that, I think you're the person who establishes dominance throughout the game. But it's getting to that point that's exceptionally difficult. It seems very likely in Beast vs. Mech on this map that if both players try to play an extended macro game, that Rynus will be stuck on 3 bases against PranksterGangster being able to take literally whatever base he wants. With that in mind, I don't think that this will be a game that gets to super macro game. The reason I think that is that there is this neatly abusable double high ground right here that airships are quite good at infiltrating. There is the possibility of bringing airships here, dropping catapults, and then walling this area off. Both drops are going to be very good for both players on this map. It's going to be a little bit better for the mech player because catapults are more immediately dangerous. However, airship drops of beast units won't be good until about the 4 base mark because if you look, the ground distance travel between here, here, and here is pretty much the same as the air travel distance. So when you drop into the main, you are pre-committing to the airship not being able to easily access the third. The best way the beast player can make use of that, however, is if they send a lot of their beast units to attack the third while they send a drop over into the main. The problem is that you are up against mech and they do have repair. So I will be very curious to see how this manifests. We have a castle first into 2 den over here on the part of PranksterGangster with a large scout to make sure that what happened in game 2 doesn't happen again. And we have a seeming safety tower over here from Rynus, which is going to be a bit of a lost time, like a lost bit of time investment, but I believe he expects that there is going to be some cheese or some shenanigans, especially since he doesn't want this to get to game 5. There is no, like, once you get to game 5, he won the first 2 games in the series. If this gets to game 5, then the pressure goes from being on PranksterGangster to try and get a game to Rynus to win when he was already up 2-0. And the pressure of not being reverse swept is a very real thing. If you have not experienced it before, I can only express it as that. Here's the thing though, both of these builds do encourage me in the belief that we're going to see a somewhat longer game, but this is the change. Rynus over here with his mill. And so the benefit of having the mill is that with Rynus having the mill, he may be going for that same kind of push that he was going for in the previous game, where he just takes like half a dozen workers, moves out, and says, I've got a repairable army, do something about it. You know, you are free. What is it that Picard said? You are free to test this army at your convenience. Exactly. And the thing is, this is a pretty standard build over here by PranksterGangster. He's going to be looking to see if anything different has been going on. Like, hey, what do you think about, what about Mill? What about this? Did I see Maru versus Raynor reverse swept might happen? Yes, I did not see Maru versus Raynor. However, reverse sweeps do happen. And the biggest reason they happen is, once it gets to game 5, I believe, or 7, as it turns out, is psychological reasons. The person knows that they were ahead and they start asking what they're doing. But series planning and series adaptation are very real things here. And I think that Rynus has shown an excellent ability to ward off instant loss on the part of his opponents. This is a guy who played against Hero of Ages, who tried to double Rax Raider him and 2-0'd him. This is a guy who played against Visixfan, knowing that that's someone who is also really proficient at the double Rax Raider, and 2-0'd him. Like, Rynus, the game that he lost, this most recent game, was after PranksterGangster really proved his mettle and said, oh, by the way, yeah, can you really deal with my mech army 1 time, 2 time, 3 time, 4 time, 5 times, especially when I level it or leverage my micro and my APM behind it. It turned out that PranksterGangster was equal to the task, but there were moments where it seemed like he was only barely equal to the task. But he did make solid decisions, and he didn't throw his army as he did in game 2, and so he won that game. Now, PranksterGangster going for a very standard play here. He's getting the Snake Den. Snake Den is important because it helps the Beast player up against early Gyrocraft, which conveniently is what he will be facing off against, and we may be seeing a push that is similar. Nope, it's lacking the workers, however, so it makes me think that this is just going to be a scouting force and that Rynus is going to go for a third. I really doubt that he's going to pull. At this point, if he was going to use these to push out, he would have gone ahead and brought like 5 workers or something like that so that he could make that push happen. But the fact that the tower is here and the worker is here, yep, there's the third base, and the depth of that wolf also indicates as much. And now we've got a bird that's going out, trying to figure out, all right, you're expanding, I know that now. What's the tech path? And he's paying attention to this wolf. He knows that this Gyrocraft is on the way. Water. But if he didn't pay attention to that wolf to know the Gyrocraft is on the way, he can almost certainly not help but notice it after all these wolves come over here and cross right into its flight path. This Gyrocraft is heading right to the main. And the thing is, there is a tower being built in the main, but is there a tower being built in the natural? No. In the third? No. And the thing is, there's only a small supply difference between all of these, and do I really think that this tower is going to go up? Yes. Do I think that this force of catapults and 3 Gatling guns with workers in the nearby natural is going to be enough to hold this third? Almost certainly. And the bird gets in, and what does it say? Oh, there's not much here, actually. There's not much going on. Actually, excellent re-rally over here from Rynus. He says, this bird, I'm glad you paid money to figure out what's going on. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go ahead and kill your bird. Now, it's just a question of whether or not the bird will see the advanced workshop, but I don't think it's a surprise that this advanced workshop is coming out, even if he doesn't scout it. And we're going to go ahead and see, did he see it? And it turns out that no, it doesn't look likely that he did in fact see it. And these units are being kicked off from the third base location. But did those wolves actually see the third? And they did, in fact. So now PranksterGangster knows what he's going up against. Oh, okay. I have a tower in my third, he says. I have a tower in my main. With the tower in the third and the main, it's going to be very difficult for this Gyrocraft to find too much to do. It could do something over here in the natural. That's not beyond the realm of possibility. And the snakes are being recalled right now on duty to go ahead and handle that Gyrocraft. But the fourth base location is coming up now. And the thing that Rynus is going for here that I like so much is that he's going to just power up. Look at this. Extra workshop. The advanced workshop is being finished. And is he starting to make catapults? That's what we would expect, yes. But look, now mostly with Gatling guns instead of catapults. He doesn't want to make the giant mech ball on this army. In fact, the mech ball is going to be more varied, more multifaceted, more capable. And this may, in fact, end up being the longer game. And it looks like, if he's not paying attention, he's going to lose this Gyrocraft right here. And 1-2 hits. Yep, the Gyrocraft does go down. Excellent awareness over there from the part of PranksterGangster to go ahead and snipe that Gyrocraft. If it had been repaired, all the damage the snakes would have done would have been completely worthless. And now the question is, what are you going to do now, PranksterGangster? You're going to have a 4-base economy. You've got towers, so you don't have to deal with Gyrocraft. And those towers also help ever so slightly, and for an indirect reason, against all of the catapult drops that would otherwise be incoming. And it looks like the mill is actually just rallying Gyrocrafts over to this location. And this Gyrocraft is going to get here. It's looking for the tech. It wants to know what it can find, but it's not going to be able to find anything worth talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4 bases with a bunch of workers and wolf snake. And this is shaping up to be a game that is similar but different to the previous game, and in the following way. Look at the towers that Rynus is building. Look at this forward tower right here to help control this much space. Look at this tower right here, controlling the space here once it's finished. The repair making a beeline over here to the mech units, and the thing and caltrops being set for slow. And this indicates that Rynus is going for a big 150 push. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. He's not interested in seeing some kind of shenaniganry like, oh yeah, we can do this and then that and this other thing, that's fine. And just as Norm says, there is in fact over here Whoops. Good kill. There is, in fact, over here an airship being brought over. There's only 2 catapults that have been made, but this kind of army composition indicates that we're going to be seeing a giant army put together. Why would you put caltrops there defensively unless you have plans to go ahead and make an army later on in the game? And PranksterGangster has the map awareness that he needs. He knows that this 4th base hasn't been taken, but does he know about this 4th base? No. Does he know about this 4th base? No, he says, but I could deal with it if it were. And PranksterGangster himself is on 4 bases, and what's the tech? Of course, the advanced workshop, necessary as always. And he's going back to his favorite play of building the animal testing lab. But the thing is, he's now building the animal testing lab with an absolutely preposterous income behind it. It's 4 base against 3, and he's going to have his metal tested as the first round of airship catapult drops are going to be coming in. And we're going to see how PranksterGangster can actually fare against these catapult drops. All the previous catapult drops were used in concentration or in combination with another attack, typically at the front or at another side or a location, but now this is just a raw catapult drop. The problem is towers in the 4th, 3rd, and main mean that if the catapults drop in a bad location, the airship is taking damage. If they drop in a good location, they're still probably going to go ahead and attack those locations first, but he needs to not lose his airship. This airship represents a lot of supply that he cannot afford to lose, and there's a good damage right there on the part of the catapults hitting into the snakes. That's fine, but it looks like his target isn't even the workers. I'm sure he would love to get at the workers, but he's going and doing some damage against these beast units. Like, oh, hey man, what if I just launch some rocks and kill a couple of units for free? And the thing is, if he manages to do that, he can thin the army enough and stop the beast player from getting to max quickly enough. But the thing that PranksterGangster needs to do is to make a decision. It looks like, because he's going for now double upgrades, that he's going to be sticking on Wolf Snake for a very long time. But I think this is the hard way of playing against mech. If you're playing Wolf Snake against mech, you always want to have a numbers advantage. You've got to be very on top of your positioning, and you need to make a lot of raw units. We're not talking about dragons and werewolves where you try to overpower. No, we're talking more about, I'm just going to go play a standard straight up game with a bunch of units, and now we have a double advanced workshop. He must fear the dragons and must realize the difficulty that, not dragons, but he must fear the gyrocraft and remember the difficulties that he had engaging into them previously. And now a couple more pickups over here from Rynus, and a supply block on the part of both players means that PranksterGangster isn't rocketing ahead in supply, perhaps the way that he would like to, but he'll be able to drop the ballista. He might be able to get both of these catapults. If he manages to get both of these catapults, this is actually sick. And he is going to get the catapult. He is going to get the airship. The airship is going down, and now he's just going to drop all the units. If he drops the units on top of the catapults, he gets the free catapult. He doesn't want the catapults, or he doesn't see the catapults or notice them in that precise moment, and so the catapults are going to be encouraged to go away and get free. A single wolf snake headed towards their location, which would be enough to take them down, because it's not like the catapult can actually attack them. And now this catapult, is it going to be on the lonely journey? Is it going to be able to run away? That is the question, because if it does run away, then this is the same thing as dropping those wolves immediately, but it's a question that remains to be seen. Meanwhile, over here, we're starting to see some movement over into the 4th base location, and it looks like Rynus is going for the same full wall that he did previously. He recognizes that, hey, maybe picking the distant location over here with the wolf isn't the best idea. So this wall that he made, the tower, he's using it to make a full wall, and he's going to use that as an opportunity to expand into the 4th. Notice the attack paths. As he builds buildings, it wouldn't be surprising to see building, 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 and then caltrops in the middle right here in the water while he stacks all of his forces up into this location. And this just reduces the angles and the number of attacks that can be visited upon Rynus on the part of PranksterGangster, especially since PranksterGangster isn't playing with dragons, he's not playing with werewolves, he's not playing with these super bulky units, he's playing with Wolf Snake, and you need a lot of units for that. He's rocketing up. Yep, and there's a production facility going down to body block and make space over there, as expected. And we expect with these workers coming over, there's going to be even more blocks over on that location. But what is the build over here? Well, invisibility detection on the part of PranksterGangster, and 2 attack upgrades are in line. But he's not seizing his plan. He's not forcing Rynus to build any of these ballistas beyond the threat that the airship drops. But does the airship really present that much of a threat? Like, look at the towers that are all over the map. tower in the main, tower in the fourth, a tower forward in the natural, a tower somewhat forward in the third. And will these airships really be able to find anything unless they drop something like 6 wolves and a snake? Will they be able to do anything? And even then it's somewhat debatable, let alone with 5 wolves and a ballista. And so the map is being split so far, and it looks like this is the point of danger. This is the point of interaction that we're going to get to, because notice the wall that Rynus is making. This is a full wall. Nothing is allowed to get past here, and 2 catapults behind mean that any force that manages to get through will do so with considerable losses, and will require the APM tax of being focused so that the units don't acquire the catapult and try to hit it rather than the buildings that are actually obstructing them in the front. And so this is the point that matters. This is the base that Rynus wants and that PranksterGangster cannot allow him to have. We see a force move out over here, but the problem with this force is that it's going to run into the very sturdy barrier of tower and double catapult, even with a caltrop in the back should anything break through. And all of that does is buy time. It's not that any of these holdouts will actually hold against the whole wolf snake army. 2 catapults and a tower are not going to hold against the whole wolf snake army, but it does buy time, and that time allows these very slow, immobile mech units to get over there. And the thing is, he's going to look for the 4th base, not see the 4th base, and he's got to be worried. There is an airship that knows that this is the 4th base, but if we follow the progression, we're going to notice that, in fact, this is the base that Rynus wants. This is the base that if Rynus gets, he can start being active from. He can push up this lane and this alley. He says, I'm not interested in controlling the center. The center has too many areas of access that I would have to hold off on. I would rather slow push up the left side of the map, and meanwhile, the 5th base going down now, with towers over here on the part of PranksterGangster. The towers actually just being an acknowledgement that, hey, I don't really want to have to interact with your catapult drops in a micro-intensive way. And so here is the first of many, or the second or third round of drops over here from Rynus, seeing if he can't get anything done. And for now, this is the base location that we're going to look at. The 3rd is under assault over here, but it looks like that's not actually going to get much damage to put into it. This is a large amount of supply over here being represented. We're looking at 9, 18, 22 units. That's 40 supply of wolf snake sitting over there. If we take that out, PranksterGangster's available supply is dwindled down to 99. So if all these forces are tied up over here, and then as we've demonstrated, look, with the repair of these workers nearby, a couple catapults in the tower, this wolf snake army, yes, it has +3 damage. +3 damage is terrifying in the open, and the fact that the catapults are actually getting plus attack is a problem, because if they were getting plus armor, that could mitigate a little bit the threat of all of these. Ooh, really good firing, really good focus right there. You can see that what happened there is that the plus attack catapults actually made a point of deliberately being pre-selected to fire onto the workers rather than continuing to not do that. And that was really good micro over there by Rynus. The problem is as follows. More damage is being done over here by this drop of Rynus, and all that's being done is a delay of the inevitable. And once again, the wolf snake army, they can't believe what they're running into. They're trying to go up this path. There's no space to go up that path. How are they going to be allowed to go up that path when Rynus has been given the freedom to make a full wall and decide what the choke point is? And now the wolf snake army is reaching a point of difficulty. The wolf snake army desperately, really horridly wants an open army engagement. Rynus, you send your ball out, and I'll send my units out, and they'll surround your units, and then that'll be the end of the game. The problem is that that's not being allowed. These snakes don't get to demonstrate the highest attack speed in Little Wargame with +3 damage if they're just fighting off against SimCity constantly. What do you think of 200 supply cap? I'm in favor of it. I'm personally not in favor of 200 supply cap. Only because we currently have issues with people lagging the game or difficulties like that, and those become exacerbated as you add more things onto the screen. Additionally, I don't think that balance is in a place where having 200 supply cap would be good for the game, because it would allow Beast to get away with things that frankly would just overwhelm. Like, you could just simply macro as Beast, it would overwhelm the sheer number of units that other races or other factions would be able to put out. And there is a way to overcome the mech army for PranksterGangster. He needs werewolves. Frankly, he needs werewolves and dragons. Dragons counterintuitively are quite good against this army, because what werewolves do, werewolves just hit with high single target damage that pushes all, like, chunks the catapults. It's so hard that it's hard to repair them quickly. But the benefit of dragons is that once they can be used once split, they can take, if they're split, they don't take the explosive shot. And if they don't take the explosive shot, they can be used from on high without needing surface area to take out the workers, and the workers are what are terrifying. And so this is actually a little bit of a trap that PranksterGangster has set up here. This is the 6th location that he wants. He definitely doesn't want to give the high ground advantage over to Rynus, and Rynus hasn't been making any gyrocraft, but this is the attack that needs to succeed. I think actually he wanted that army to come a little bit more forward, but we are getting a roundabout hit of snakes. The problem is that these are snakes. Snakes are going to die in 2 hits from these catapults. They don't care about the flank potential. The catapults don't care about the flank potential, but they might care just enough, because look, now there is so much attack on the part of these snakes. They've actually overcome the native defense, the native armor of all of these catapults, and look at these catapults starting to take damage, starting to take these serious losses. The problem is, are they taking serious enough losses? Yes, these catapults are going down, but all the wolf snake is going down as well, but the focus firing has been excellent, and it looks like actually, is he going to be able to do it? Is he going to be able to wipe this out? Yes, the final worker goes down, and that's actually the part that means that the beast player can start to clean up the fight. The problem is that there is no cleaning up this fight. PranksterGangster hasn't been macroing behind this, so nearly 700 gold is not a great place to be in when you're down 30 supply. And this middle base that he's taken, because he has been forced to take it, rather than take the middle right base, the excellence of taking the middle right base would have been that it's not along the attack path that Rynus is trying to make. But now, the combination of the 4th base and the 5th base, and the 6th base, being along the attack path that Rynus wants to make, means this is a very strong avenue, and the base has been set up. The base that was set up earlier, that was imagined earlier, that was the pain point earlier, has been set up with nary thought and nary difficulty. And the problem with all of this now is that with this base setup, towers will go up and catapults will go up. And now we've entered a split map scenario. There are still mines that can be taken by PranksterGangster with more safety. He can take this mine. Counterintuitively, he can take this mine. The full wall here and the full wall there means that it's actually very difficult for this to be attacked without destroying the SimCity, and destroying the SimCity opens up weaknesses. The bases here and here are also underexplored and can be taken down. The problem is that right now there's just wolf snake trickling into an army of catapults, and the catapults are starting to get the armor. They only got the +1 attack, and now that they're adding in the armor, they're increasing their tankiness against these snakes, and that's exactly what Rynus should be doing. It's extremely powerful for mech to get these armor upgrades against beasts because of the law of small numbers. Armor increases by 1 for each time for each upgrade of it that you get, but these wolf and snake units have such low damage. Look, the snake only has base 7 damage. The wolf only has base 10 damage, and when you're reducing that much damage and you're reducing it further with armor, it makes your army even tankier, and it works in conjunction with repair. And now there's a push towards the high ground on the part of Rynus, and if this army gets up to the high ground uncontested and unmolested, it is going to absolutely wreck these towers. These catapults have +1. They could hardly care less about the impact of a single tower. 63 damage a shot climbs into 550 health is nothing, but this is the full surround, and it's a full surround with a mix of wolf and snake, and he's re-secured the high ground, and now the army has been split up. If he could interject his army in between those, but the front line of catapults seem to be going down, and the back line of catapults are being pulled back towards the safety of workers so that some damage can be done. These seem to be absolutely 3 units up here in the top portion, but what is going on here for PranksterGangster? Is this attack all that there is to this setup? And the explosive shot comes out now from 1 ballista, and the ballista doesn't even go down. It's not even taken to out, and it will be repaired out back again. And the thing is, will this catapult even go down? It certainly does. Will this ballista go down? It certainly will. And the thing is, now there's a body blocking over here on the part of this catapult. The thing is, PranksterGangster is down in supply right now. He's down 15, 17. Nope, now racketing back up. But all of the army that he's made that makes it seem like he's in the same level of production is actually in production. And the fact that it's in production means that it's not on the field yet. And if it's not on the field, it can't be leveraged. That was a beautiful surround, an excellent split of the army. And Rynus here is feeling a little bit of the pinch, because if we go down here, there's nothing left in the main, there's nothing left in the natural. We go to the 3rd base location, okay, that's healthy. The 4th and 5th base location seem healthy, but a mage's guild now for Rynus, and this might actually be the death knell. This might be the hybridization that he needs, because if he can't push through wolf snake, this is the other answer. Hey, maybe wolf snake can fight off against this mech army, but maybe it won't be able to fight off against this mech army aided with mages, and that's exactly what he's hoping for. And so PranksterGangster and Rynus are playing a dance right now, but the dance is going to get a lot more dangerous if these towers finish up, because it means that these wolf snake waves aren't going to be able to do the damage they like to do. There's no airship dropping from behind. There's no movement here on this attack path that allows for a true flank. So this is an attack from two sides at best, and the wolves are making work of this worker over here, but it seems like he's going in for another wave. This tower isn't going to come up anytime soon, and the front wave of wolf snake is being torn down right here, and a couple back waves of wolves, 5 wolves, isn't going to be the flank that would be wanted or desired. But a couple of the workers are going down, and it does look like this fight is being cleaned up here by Rynus. It's just that doesn't seem to end. More wolves are now coming through on the front, while there are wolves in the back. This might actually be enough to get somewhere, but where are the snakes? The snakes are what allow the wolves to take out those extremely dangerous workers. In fact, workers might even be the resiliency of the mech army, and if they can kill this worker before this tower goes up, this tower going up would be an absolute disaster over here. But it doesn't go up. It's stuck right there at 504 or 550 hit points, and this army is now forced to run back to the safety of its tower. And the problem with this now is that Rynus is down in supply. Wolfsnake has actually overcome this build, even though there were very threatening towers there, even though there's a tower that still might be built, even though it looks like he was intruding. The whole game plan of Rynus has been building into gathering this as his base, making this his 5th base, and using this to attack forward as the attack path. But now that's in danger because this wave has been shut down more comprehensively than the previous wave, and 20 supply up right now for PranksterGangster. But it seems that Rynus has different plans. No longer does Rynus intend to attack on the low ground and see what comes from there. No, Rynus fully intends to make a big dive, but he's walking into all these towers. All these catapults are going to go down with the airships. That's a huge amount of supply that's being lost for absolutely free on the part of Rynus. And now these double catapults that are being contained in these 2 airships really represent the hopes that Rynus has for this game to not slip away from him. Because if this game slips away, now it may not. Mages are joining the guild right now. They're joining the fight, but these drops are exactly what PranksterGangster needs. He really needs this. He needs to be the kind of person who's making sure that these attacks go in, that he can have flanking opportunities. And that absolutely massive pickup means that Rynus is now in deep trouble. This is a base that Rynus, I think, expected PranksterGangster to take. Why didn't you take this base yet? It was so free and available and open, but it wasn't taken. And instead, the airship walked into a line of towers. And with that going down, and this over here not finding anything to attack that it would like to attack, and the nearest workers being in the 3rd base location directly across all of these towers, a line so thin to thread that even Daedalus would find difficulties threading it. And the problem is now, yes, he's implemented mages. Yes, 1 tower has gone up, and another, the tower that was nearly finished may finish, and this tower up here might also end. But the problem is as follows. What happens if this game goes to game number 5? Will Rynus feel the pressure of being reverse swept? I always thought that this map was a bit favored for Beast because of its attack paths, and Rynus made a good showing of blocking off the 3rd base location, and then the forward area that leads into the 3rd base to take a 4th and then make this alley to the 5th. But it seems that PranksterGangster is finally doing something that he has not done all series long, with the exception of the very wild game 1. No, in a macro context, it looks like what PranksterGangster is going for here. Oh yeah, it's dragons. Now, not quite yet. It looks like a fortress is being made. And because the fortress is being made, we may get a couple of things. There may be a werewolf's den. There may be, in fact, dragons. And dragons are going to be the most likely thing to be included. But the number of towers being built up here means that dragons are going to find difficulty in getting all the damage done that they would like to do. And the catapults here have a good sieging location, hitting into these towers and stopping them from being a problem. But now the wolf snake is coming in, and the thing is now, the difference is there are a couple of towers here where there weren't towers before. This first tower will go down, an absolute victim to the power of +5, or soon to be +5 snakes. But the slow field is even more powerful, and the slow field makes it so that all these units can't dodge the catapult shots the way that they'd like to. There's only 1 unified line of mech and 1 unified line of beast. And the problem is, for the beast player, that's generally what the unification that you don't want. You want to surround things from multiple sides, at least 2 sides, front and back, maybe 3, maybe even fully encircle, but this isn't what they're getting. It's not a full encirclement, and that mage has actually shown his worth, tremendously. The utility of the slow field, not even of the fireball, but of the slow field has managed to make itself known, and that is allowing Rynus to absolutely dominate this fight. A couple more units went down than perhaps Rynus would like, but the supply has shifted again, and it's in his favor. And with his catapult drops going on, and now the ballista has taken, the ballista that was dropped by this airship, taking care of both of those, both of the airships that were piloting these catapults. But these catapults represent a huge amount of supply. If these get lost, it would be absolutely terrible for PranksterGangster, rather for Rynus. It would represent a loss of his ability to control this space, and if that space can't be controlled, what space can? This space is going to be taken over here by PranksterGangster. That's the movement of his army, but perhaps PranksterGangster should be more worried about the movement of Rynus's army, for Rynus is reconstructing the towers, and he nearly has enough. He has 40 energy on this mage. He might want to wait for 60. He doesn't have fireball research, but once this tower goes up, if he can get slow field, it's only 15 seconds or so away from having all the energy that's required for it to cast slow field. If it can cast slow field and hit this area right here, these catapults can find all the damage they could ever ask for. But there we go. This is the exposed base that PranksterGangster always had access to, taking advantage of his opponent's wall. And yes, Rynus, okay, you've created a nice little corner for yourself in this part of the base, and you're making a line to push up, but I'm not going to worry about that. And so there's a building being made by Rynus, and actually is tremendously blocking off the surface area. This is something that Rynus has been doing throughout the entire series, and the excellent part of doing this is, it's a building. How does one overcome a building? It can just have more and more units put into it, and the snakes have an excellent bit of target firing over there to take care of that worker, stop it from constructing quite to the extent that it was before. Rynus is still down in supply, but now the body blocking makes it extremely relevant and extremely scary. And now these catapults are never going to be able to hit the castle from this position, and an airship won't be able to lift up, but there is a ballista on the high ground, and a couple of towers are able to shoot down, and now there are wolves and snakes that are taking out the towers that are over on the left-hand side, but still there isn't the full army commit. Where's the full army commit? Is he decided to just delay this infinitely? And another airship is coming by. In fact, a pair of airships are coming by. There's the slow field, and it stops this direction, but it doesn't stop the wolves from finding an avenue over to this way. And if possible, these snakes are taking out the gyrocrafts over here in the front, whereas there's going to all the wolves and managed to make it into a flanking maneuver, and there's going to be a pickup, a really hot pickup over here from these airships, because they recognize that this is not a center that can be held. The tower is going down, and even though it's being repaired, the other one looks like it's going to go down as well. The supplies are absolutely even, but finally it looks like all the forces, all the steam is starting to run out, because the wolves haven't been able to do what their job was. They were able to get in the back and do a surround and do some interesting things, but the problem is this building is still here, this tower is still here, the number of workers are still here, the airships are now here to reinforce and assist in micro, and actually Rynus is going for the push. He says that that's quite enough out of you, thank you very much. He's going to go ahead and put this as a safety slow field from behind to stop the flank from behind, and now the attack is threatening to go up the hill, and if the attack goes up the hill, that's the loss of high ground. It's already been lost courtesy of these gyrocrafts and these airships, and now these catapults can hit onto the high ground in a way that they couldn't before, and this base is going up, and that's excellent, and that's fantastic for PranksterGangster. But will it mean that much if this central location is lost? If this central location is lost, it represents a huge lost ability for him to control the center of the map, and then that opens the map up back up for Rynus. This is Rynus's game plan, the thing that he's been building for, the things he's been building towards the entire time, but finally it seems like it's paying off. The ballista, one airship goes down while the ballista is still here and firing at the enemy airships, and that's extremely important. The airship v ballista battle is extremely relevant, because so long as these airships are here, it represents increased micro ability and potential, but now the ballista is down. The gyrocrafts have free reign, and the couple of units of wolf snake that are here in the middle can't quite do the things that they wanted to do. This push is still coming vertically up the side of Stream Junction, and the wolf snake that's here has been absolutely annihilated. There's nothing left. This airship goes down because it's inside of a tower range, and then this airship goes down, but here's the thing that we haven't been talking about. We've been building towards it. Maybe this is why wolf snake hasn't been as powerful as it seemed to be previously. There's a fleet of dragons, but they have to be split. They have to be split very carefully and meticulously, and if they are, that can represent actually not only the crushing of this build, but perhaps a win of the entire game. But there are so many dragons. Look at this. This isn't one or two for help. No, this is an army of dragons, a flock, a fleet, a murder, a gaggle, 8 of them gathered together, and if they're not split properly, the explosive shot in addition with all of these mech upgrades means that these ballista are going to find value, the likes of which they have never thought to seek before. Plus 6 damage, meaning that they're doing 61 damage each to each with these dragons, and there's PranksterGangster pre-splitting all the dragons. Look, he knows what his win conditions are. He knows his win conditions are. He's got to take down the ballista and stop the explosive shot from doing as much damage. He's actually well hidden the dragons, but now they're exposed, and he has to kind of go in He needs to split the dragons up. If he doesn't split the dragons up, the explosive shot is going to do so much. One ballista goes down. Yes. Does another ballista go down? Okay, there's explosive shot. Explosive shot is cast, but the thing is, they're going down. All these ballista, are they going down? Because where are the workers? The workers are here repairing, and there's enough of them that it looks like these dragons aren't able to take it down. Where's the wolf snake to assist them? It's not happening, and the workers are coming over here, going on a journey so long that the Oregon Trail makes seems to make light of it over here in the bottom right. But they'll be going on a deeper journey into Lost Town. If these ballista aren't handled, the workers need to be focused, and once the workers are focused, maybe then the ballistas can be handled. But it looks like finally, inexplicably, somehow, it's happened. It's happened. There's only one worker left over here, and it needs to go down. If it doesn't go down, then it represents the loss. There's so much production that's being under assault right now by on the part of PranksterGangster. Rynus is losing all of these. There are catapults sitting inside of towers. They don't care, but one of the ballistas go down. All the workers have been finished, and so that means that this ballista is going down. Once this ballista goes down, PranksterGangster is going to be able to clean up the army. All of these catapults are going to die. It seemed extremely threatening while they were there. The problem is that they're not there anymore. The standing force that they were hoping for isn't possible anymore, and there's no repair that's going to be able to hit. Even PranksterGangster pulling a couple of workers and stopping them from retreating, and this little hero pack of wolves over here doing a bunch of damage. All they have to do is body block, and that's what they've managed to do fantastically. This looks like a whole slew of lost units, and this is why people talk constantly about how dragons are the answer, dragons are the solution. Dragons are something that you can do in beast versus mech, and it's not to this extent. It's not that you make a giant pile of them, but look at the power of this. This is a mined out base. Who cares if it's lost? This is a mined out base. Who cares if it's lost? But the bases that do count, the bases that matter, are this base over here, 5,000 gold. This base over here, once there's 350 gold in the bank for PranksterGangster, that's going to be made. And now Rynus is in a world of hurt because there's 3,400 gold coming out of this gold mine. But what's coming out of this gold mine? Only about 2,000 gold left. He still hasn't made his next base. That huge rally, the huge push, the giant move that he's been making was all for the purpose of disrupting this center. But now this may be the flaw in Rynus's plan. Rynus may have secured this area. Rynus may have even destroyed this base. Rynus may have gained control of the high ground, but he only gained temporary control of the high ground. All the dragons were able to come up, and what could they take? This base? There's nothing there to mine in this base. This base? There's nothing here to mine in this base. There's no even point. Oh, there's 3,500 gold left in this base. He wasn't able to do it. He wasn't able to take control of it, and because he didn't take control of it, that means that now Rynus is down in supply. He's down 30 supply against someone who so carefully crafted this army of dragons and managed to hide them the entire time. Yeah, can I keep the production tab on? Yeah, we can do that. Sure, all these dragons are being made, and the thing is that now Rynus is in a world of trouble because his own SimCity has argued against him. He gave PranksterGangster the entire map based on the gambit that, hey, you can have the map, but when we get to 150, I'll have an army that can go through here and start bowling over your production and take control of the center. That was the whole plan. Take control of the top left-hand base and take control of the over on the middle right-hand base and use that to win the game. And PranksterGangster finally realized, hey, I can take control of this base over here. He's gonna expand over to this base over here once he has the means to do so. And the whole point of the gambit, it seems, has failed for Rynus because this army now is being harassed by nothing but wolves. Yes, there are some catapults there. Yes, there are some catapults that might be able to take care of this, but the workers don't really want to fight. The workers need to be on the repair duty, and they won't be able to be on the repair duty if they're dead. These couple of ballista are nice, but look at how many dragons we have. We've got something like 8 dragons. Is that going to be enough? No, it's almost certainly not. This force has to retreat. Its ability to crack this base has seemingly ended, and now that PranksterGangster has access to the map, poor Rynus even has to try and make something happen with this base over in the center, this base that he deliberately put his production structures in the way of, that he made it difficult to engage into, and now it looks like the long-term strategical plan has come to an end over here for Rynus. He now has to hold on, at the least he has to hold on to this center base. This center base represents everything to him. If he loses this base, everything is going to go into shambles quickly. He does have 1,500 gold left over here inside of this base, but the problem is he only has 19 workers. The cost, the strain of using all those workers to repair constantly and always having to have workers available on repair, available to bring over, available to make use and to activate his units and to make something come out of nothing. It's all put a strain on his economy. Look at the way his gold is ticking up. 93, 98, 103, 108. 118, and that's exactly what we're talking about here. Now these dragons are all clumped up, and triple shot actually means that a lot of supply is going to be lost here for PranksterGangster. I don't know, that doesn't mean that he's lost it for himself just yet, but it does mean that he's just lost the biggest ace that he had on this entire board, which was the threat of his dragons. Now he's just got 23 wolves up against this army, and 3 ballista are more than enough for the remaining 2. Make that 1 dragon. He's making nothing but wolves, and the thing is, wolves are really good against this army. That's true, but wolves can't shoot up, and that means that they're going to be in trouble against these gyrocrafts. And also, what if they can't gain surface area? What if the center is controlled? Then that means that Rynus can now flip the script on this game, and that singular mistake might actually mean that PranksterGangster has put himself in a bad position in a game that he had a commanding advantage in. Yes, it's true, Rynus is down 40 supply. This is something of this all-in hit. There is no recovering from this. If this attack completely fails, there will be nothing left of his army. There isn't an economy to fall back on. There isn't another base to sit back to defend. And in fact, even his formerly impregnable wall is now being eaten into by some wolves who don't even care, for the mighty have fallen. It seems like Rynus is, all this is his, is all that Rynus has left. But the wolves are coming in, and there's a huge amount of damage there, but now there's a flank. And the thing about the flank is that it doesn't matter that there are very few wolves left. This isn't a Rynus ball. This is like a Rynus blip. And the problem with the Rynus blip is that now the catapults can't cover for each other the way that they used to. And the catapults are even being the beneficiary of the pain of the +1 upgrade. There is extra armor on all of these, so they're tanking the attacks from these wolves far better than they would normally. And in fact, the extra armor on these wolves is almost meaningless in front of these catapults, but it doesn't matter because these dragons are the beneficiaries, and that's all we're waiting for here, really, are for the dragons to get some opportunities to do some damage. Are the ballista down? No. There's still a couple of ballista, and with an airship that can live a very long time. But all PranksterGangster has to do, all he has to do, is somehow convert the advantage here and convert the supply advantage he has. He is up 30 supply. Now, how far is he up? He's only up, yep, he's still up 30 supply, and the wolves have managed to color around, but good use of the caltrops means that those wolves are in slow position, but there's not really a front line anymore. The workers have to fight, because if they don't fight, there won't be anything in the back, but if the workers are fighting, that means the workers can't be repairing, and this army now lacks the workers. The things that we saw in Game 3 be pushed over and over, that made Rynus stop, made him go back, made him reconsider, was, do I have workers? And now he doesn't have the workers, and all of these workers, it seems, are without a castle, without a home, without a hope. They're being taken down. Will Rynus try to reconvene and gather this force, take over this base, and then use that as a lifeline, a critical injection? Or no? Because if he doesn't, all he's got is that attack. That's all that's left. And the thing is, PranksterGangster has mining bases. PranksterGangster has this base with 3,000 gold, the upper right base with 2,600 gold, the bottom right base is long distance mining and still has 5,700 gold. But Rynus says, I'm going to retreat. I'm going to fall back. I can't actually do this right now. And it looks like some extra units are being lost here. These catapults going down. The dragons have to retreat and fight in face of those couple of ballista, and the airship is doing its absolute best, but these dragons show that PranksterGangster knows the state of the game. He knows that he's advantaged. He knows that all he has to do is allow the game to get to the end, and that training some of these dragons for these units is absolutely worth it. The ballista goes down, another ballista goes down, another catapult goes down, and irony of ironies, will even this ballista go down to dragon fire? No, it looks like it's just barely gotten away into the safety net of those workers for repair. But the wolves are now relentless. They even go forward, and now they dive back. No reason to risk this just yet. With a 50 supply advantage, Rynus is holding on to this base for all that it's worth, and the story can really be told by the income. Look at this. PranksterGangster with over 10 times the income up until all of those workers went back to work. Now still probably triple the income of his opponent, double, like 2.5 times to triple the income of his opponent, and the total mine gold tells the story. Rynus said, you can have the entire map, just give me this, like, wall this off, and then move into this location. But now that the wolves have broken in, he doesn't have that section of the map even as safety. This is now an attack path for Wolf Snake that can't be defended against. Opening that may actually give Rynus a lifeline to try and expand, but the problem is he's down 70 supply, and look at this, 8,000 gold difference for PranksterGangster. He was able to leverage his bigger economy into taking inefficient trades over and over and over and over again. Look at this, 4,000 more gold, 4,000 gold more inefficient in his trades of Wolf Snake with some dragon here at the end, at the tip end of the game, up against mech. But it's well worth it when you have 8,000 gold. The total gold to loss ratio, like the total gold to Total gold to loss is strongly in PranksterGangster's favor by about 4,000 gold. And with that tower down and this pile of wolves aiming on the only mining base, Rynus is forced to concede. Is the reverse sweep on the way as the series goes 2-2 in this best of 5?